Welcome to VSB News Online for Monday, June the 29th. I'm Charles Webb. Rush hour traffic was being diverted by police this evening following a serious road traffic accident at Scenic Heights on Middle Road, Southampton, earlier this afternoon. Two visitors traveling on a rental cycle collided head-on with a car on a bend and had been taken to the King Edward Hospital with undisclosed injuries. Reports from eyewitnesses speak of one of the riders being trapped under the car with what appeared to be serious injuries, but the official conditions are not yet available.
Around 3:15 p.m. on Monday, June 29th, first responders were dispatched to a reported serious collision in the Middle Road, Scenic Heights Pass, Southampton area. It appears that a car and a rental cycle were involved. The vehicles were apparently traveling in opposite directions at the time of the collision. The rider and pillion passenger of the rental cycle, believed to be male visitors, were injured and taken to the hospital via ambulance for treatment. The extent of their injuries is unknown at this time. However, an update on their condition will be given when more details are available. The forensic support unit and a traffic collision investigator attended to process the scene, and traffic has been diverted away from the area until further notice. Inquiries into this collision continue, and any witnesses are encouraged to contact the main police telephone number on 295-0011.
Home Affairs Minister Senator Michael Fay said today he had declined to revoke a work permit involved in the publicized complaint to the Ombudsman because the Bermudian applicant did not, in his view, have the requisite qualifications or experience. He had earlier said that any suggestion of maladministration was false and misleading.
Prior to the work permit being approved by me, the department had sought clarity from the employer's agent on whether there were any Bermudian applicants for the post. The agent for the employer stated no Bermudians had applied, and their written declaration said the same. The department suggested that the professional contact the employer to discuss what may have happened to their application. The professional responded to the department providing evidence that she had submitted her application the day of the advertised deadline and that the application had been placed in the employer's designated mailbox. The department conducted its own investigation into the matter and established that the employer's agent closed the mailbox 1 day prior to the deadline for receiving applications. The department presented the facts of its investigation to me as minister. I decided not to revoke the work permit issued, as is my right to do so. This was in fact after I made direct contact with attorneys for the employer, seeking further information in respect of qualifications required for the post, whether any applications had been received, and whether the employer would consider the professional's qualifications as suitable for the post. Relevant notations were placed on the file by me. I made the determination that the postbox was mistakenly closed by the employer's agent 1 day prior to expiry of the advertised deadline, and that the professional did not, in my view, have the requisite qualifications or experience to fulfill the role being sought by the employer in any event. Whilst I disagreed with the recommendation of the compliance officers, I am entitled to do so, and it is within my discretion. I stand by that decision 100%. However, I also directed that the employer be monitored by the department in its hiring practices going forward more carefully, a comment I note that was included in the Ombudsman's report, a comment that I made in writing on the immigration file prior to the involvement of the Ombudsman.
Visitors are being given an opportunity to see spectacular aerial views of Bermuda with the new blue sky flights, which is part of the Bermuda Tourism Authority's call for homegrown ideas. Pat Philip Fern, Chief Product and Experiences Development Officer, is excited about the new and exciting experiences for our visitors.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the adventure seekers among our visitors to see Bermuda from the air and in a completely new way, not just coming into Bermuda, but as a tour. So they will see hidden parts of the island that you couldn't necessarily see on foot, and they will get an exhilarating experience of really experiencing Bermuda from the air.
Now, I gather due to our flying situation, there's a specific time period that this will take place?
The specific times of the day, exactly. But the interesting thing is that they will be also providing themed flights. So it's not just certain times of the day, but there will be an emphasis on watching the wrecks, whale watching, and different parts of the island. So it's not just about flying around Bermuda for an hour, without a theme or without a direction. It's really enabling them to tell stories about what they're seeing while they're taking the tour. So it's ecotourism, it is history, it's privateering, it's the rich culture that Bermuda offers as well.
Now, will the BTA be offering this as another promotional tool?
Oh, it's obviously something that we can talk about as part of the Bermuda experience, and it's a new experience, and that's something that's very important for us. As a destination, we have high repeat number of guests, and so being able to offer new experiences is a big benefit. And this is very exciting, to have this ability to see Bermuda from this vantage point. It's just wonderful.
Have you seen Bermuda from that vantage point?
I haven't been on it yet, but hopefully, if I'm very fortunate, I'll get up there and take one of these tours.
The summer is only just getting underway, and already reports are coming in of distressing amounts of rubbish being left behind by partygoers on public beaches. Brian Darby has the latest.
Residents and visitors who arrived at the public beach at Southlands on the South Shore, Warwick, on Sunday morning were shocked to find the entire beach littered with the remains of a beach party from the night before, including dozens of discarded bottles, glasses, the remains of campfires, and a lighting framework. As our pictures demonstrate, even the path to the beach had collected its own selection of litter. The news of this irresponsible use of a pristine beach will be particularly disheartening for the Friends of Southlands, a community group that on Wednesday will be taking possession of an area of arable land on which to create a people's garden. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
CURB has joined the Bermuda Bar Council, the Centre for Justice, and the opposition in opposing the proposed law reforms that are currently going through Parliament and will be debated on Wednesday by the Senate. Brian Darby reads a part of CURB's statement on the issue.
CURB says it has called for some time for the requirement that all new legislation in Bermuda be required to go through an equality impact assessment to ensure that unintended consequences do not play out for certain segments of the community. Such intended consequences can have dire results, they say, as happened with Section 315 of the Criminal Code introduced in 2005, also believed to be unconstitutional, which allowed the police to stop and search without probable cause. This was demonstrated by the dramatic increase in racial profiling in 2011, when nearly 17,500 stop and searches were carried out, with nearly 90% of those stopped being people of colour. CURB says it has concerns that the proposed legal reforms may have similar unintended consequences, resulting in negative outcomes for all defendants, but in particular for those who were poor and, because of the legacy of the past, predominantly people of colour. This legislation, they say, clearly needs further collaboration and consultation, as it is apparent within the legal community there is much disagreement. And most importantly, according to a number of legal experts, this legislation will erode people's constitutional rights. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
There is growing support for marijuana reform in Bermuda, according to profiles of Bermuda Managing Director Cordell Riley. Here's a breakdown. While the results are not statistically significant from last year, when the survey showed that 70.8% were in favor of marijuana reform, that figure has now risen to 79.3%. It seems that nearly 4 in 10 voters prefer decriminalization, compared to 1/3 of them in 2014, or 38.8%. Not surprisingly, leading the charge for legalization with government regulation were those between the age of 18 and 34, with nearly half, or 48%, supporting the change. And what about us older folk? Well, according to the statistics, we were more inclined to support decriminalization, 40% for the 35 to 54 age group and 37.3% for those 55 and older. From a gender perspective, males were more likely than females to favor legalization with government regulation. Females, the survey says, were more likely to opt for decriminalization. If your household income is $100,000 or more, you too tended to favor decriminalization. Less than that, you were more likely to favor legalization. For those earning between $50,000 and $100,000 preferred legalization with government regulation. Profiles took note of age, gender, and income level. But this was one report that contained no stats on how the races felt about the legalization of marijuana, which I found pleasantly surprising. I suppose one could deduce from this analysis that marijuana or Mary Jane or spliff could care less about ethnicity. A high, after all, is just a high, regardless of your color. For VSB News, I'm Charles Webb. The Bermuda Health Council will start naming and shaming those employers who are not up to date on their health insurance policies from this coming Friday. VSB News' Chris Lodge reports the BHC has already written to 15 employers.
A statement from the council says that starting on July 3rd, companies who are not verified as having an active health insurance policy will be listed on the BHC website. And BHC CEO Jennifer Attridge-Sterling says that the council have been investigating an average of 80 employers a month. She says they follow up on all cases, and most employers are cooperative in resolving the problem. However, about a quarter don't respond to follow up and require more intensive investigation. This, she says, is resource intensive and leaves employees uninsured, often despite having premiums deducted from their pay. The list will be updated in real time based on information confirmed with local health insurers. Employers are contacted by a variety of means, and failing a response, they are issued a warning giving 7 days to provide proof of an active policy. Their names will remain on the website until proof of an active policy is provided by the employer and verified by the insurer. The list of non-compliant employers will be available on the BHC website starting this coming Friday. I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
For the first time in its 40 years existence, the Bermuda Festival of the Performing Arts is to have a full-time executive director. He will be musician and teacher David Skinner, and he takes over from the volunteer executive officer Karen Pollard on July the 1st. Festival chairman Ian Davidson said Mr. Skinner's appointment to the new role came after a strategic planning process had indicated there was a need for a more dedicated commitment to direct all of the many functions of the festival, including administration, finance, festival management, and the burgeoning outreach program. The VSB's annual Hurricane Art Competition in the schools has once again proved to be a success. James Dodgson, Deputy Director of the Bermuda Weather Service, was on hand to judge the entries and congratulate the winners in our studios. Among the winners were in the 5 to 7 year group Maya Fitzmaurice Trott, in the 8 to 10 years group Sophia Amaral, and the 11 to 13 years group Abigail Frost. The new paintings speak for themselves. The Bermuda Regiment's Underwater Task Force is not being left out of the 50th anniversary celebrations. On Tuesday night at the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute, it will release its signature event, 50 wreck dives in 50 days, as its contribution to the island's marine development. The team will join forces with government and NGOs to give the widest possible variety of underwater adventure to soldiers and local divers. The future activities will include a preservation operation on the sea venture, wreck diving, historic wreck monitoring, reef resilience monitoring, lionfish culling, beach cleanups, and night diving. And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
The Bermuda Central American and Caribbean Swimming Championships team arrived in Bermuda last evening with 3 gold medals and 1 silver medal around her neck. Madeline Moore said she was surprised by her record-breaking performance.
I have been working to get that time for a while now because I haven't PB'd in that event since I was 13 in Carifta in Aruba. So getting a PB in that event was very special for me.
Which one was the best one for you overall?
Probably the 50 free.
Staying with swimming news, after breaking Rebecca Halliger's Bermuda Open Women's 50 long course Bermuda butterfly record of 29:14 during the preliminaries of the Scottish National Swimming Championships, Emma Harvey went even faster in the final. Harvey touched the wall in a record time of 28:54 in the preliminaries and then clocked 28:32 while competing in the A final. The NetWest Island Games are underway in Jersey with Bermuda athletes taking to the competition. Bermuda captured a gold medal first up as Krista Stwanek won the men's half marathon, crossing the line in a time of 1:07:16. Ryan Wilson finished 25th, clocking a time of 1:23:26. During the ladies' half marathon, Dion Bury finished 10th, clocking a time of 1:28:46. Rosanna Hoy finished 13th, clocking 1:30:55, and Victoria Fiddick finished 15th, in a time of 1:32:32. Natasha Trott won Heat 1 of the women's 100-meter dash, clocking a time of 12:42 to qualify for the final. Tahira Butterfield also qualified for the final with a time of 12:45, winning Heat 3. Bermuda played 2 matches on day 1 in badminton, finishing with a record of 1 win and 1 loss. Bermuda defeated Shetland Islands 4-1 and then fell 4-1 to the Isle of Man. Bermuda opened the defense of their basketball gold medal, recording a 67-54 win over Guernsey. In beach volleyball action, Bermuda went down in both their ladies' matches. They fell 2-0 to Gotland and then went down 2-0 to Menorca. Bermuda's men's team went down 2-0 to the Cayman Islands and then bounced back to defeat the Isle of Man 2-0. In the women's individual cycling time trial, Karen Badaj finished 9th, clocking a time of 1:01:52.8, with Zanique Williams finishing 12th, clocking a time of 1:02:37.8. Gabriella Arnold finished 14th, clocking 1:06:42.6. Dominique Mayo finished 19th, competing in the men's individual time trial, recording a time of 52:10. Darren Glassett finished 37th, clocking 57:35.3, and Shaquan Richardson finished 39th, clocking 57:55.7. After 3 races in sailboarding, David Kendall is currently in 5th place with 17 points. Scott Mallow is in 11th with 33 points. Matthew Wilkin is in 15th with 45 points, and Alexander Jones is in 16th with 57 points. Kaylin Hillier, after 4 races in the Laser Standard Rig class, leads the fleet with 14 points. David Hillier is in 17th with 61 points. The Bermuda men's tennis team went down 3-0 to Guernsey and then defeated Faroe Islands 2-1. Tucker Murphy finished 21st in the men's triathlon, clocking a time of 2:10:50, while Travis Cooper finished 51st, clocking 2:29:22. In the ladies' race, Martina Olaseki-Bell finished 6th, clocking a time of 2:27:53, and Belinda Castry did not finish. In volleyball, the Bermuda ladies team defeated Jersey 3-1, and the men's team defeated the Shetland Islands 3-0. Turning to cricket, in Premier Division play, the Bayliss Bay Cricket Club defeated Cleveland County by 8 wickets. Scores: Cleveland County 83 all out, Bayliss Bay 84 for 2. Somerset Cricket Club won by 150 runs over St. David's Cricket Club. Somerset Cricket Club scored 242 all out and then bowled St. David's all out for 92. Willacott won by 26 runs over Flats Victoria. Willacott scored 162 and bowled Flats all out for 136. In First Division play, Western Stars won by 4 runs over St. George's Cricket Club. Western Stars were all out for 102, with St. George's being bowled out for 98. Devonshire Recreation Club won by 139 runs over PHC. Devonshire Recreation Club were bowled out for 273 and bowled PHC all out for 139. Somerset Bridge went down by 4 wickets to Warwick Workmen's Club. Somerset Bridge were all out for 153 and Warwick Workmen scored 156 for 6. The Bermuda Football Association President Larry Musselden has issued a press release following Bermuda's exit from the 2018 Russia CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers that took place 2 weeks ago today. The BFA have received some media inquiries in respect to the recent World Cup campaign concern over accommodation and player conduct. The BFA made a decision to house the players in a small hotel upon return from Guatemala on Saturday night. They would have remained there until Monday late afternoon when they would leave for the National Sports Center. Upon arrival on the late American flight from Miami, the team was transported from the LF Wade International Airport to the hotel. The BFA had made reservations that would have 2 players per room. When the team arrived at the hotel, it was discovered that the hotel did not have the required rooms. Alternative arrangements were made at the hotel at the late hour with extra beds in 2 rooms, while some coaches gave up their rooms so that players could have rooms. Additionally, the BFA discovered that there were issues with the food service, which ultimately led to the pre-match meal being cancelled and alternatively arrangements being made at a restaurant in Hamilton. The BFA then became aware of an issue of the conduct of a few players who had females in their rooms on Monday in breach of the expected conduct. As a result of that, the coach, who had earlier given up his room to players, did leave the hotel early in order to consider how to deal with the issue, after which he did join the team at the National Sports Center when we put on a strong display of exciting football against Guatemala, end quote. Peter Miller recorded 2 wins as the 2015 Bermuda-fitted dinghy season continued in Grenaway Deep yesterday. Conditions for the sailors were tricky, with 1 boat sinking in every race. Miller at the helm of Contest 3 won the Whites Island Cup and the Perot Island Trophy races, while ONC Sailing Challenger 2 won the opening race of the day, the A.S. Cooper Cup. Miller and his crew sank during the A.S. Cooper Cup. John Nichols and his crew sailing Elizabeth 4 sank in the White Island Cup, while Tom Clark sailing Victory 4 sank during the Perot Island Trophy race. Meanwhile, Raquel Evans is the Edna Fogo Pitcher Regatta Comet Race champions after 3 races in the St. George's Harbor. Evans and his crew, Christina Bernard, sailing High Yellow, won all 3 races. Gladwin Lambert and Lorenzo Lambert, sailing Melody, finished second 3 times. Quentin Simons and Greg Proctor, sailing Sturdy Pot, finished third twice, with Antoine Wingard and Fred Beaufort, sailing Thrizzle, finished third in the other race. The Bermuda Powerboat Association held racing at Ferry Reach, with David Sally and Jordan Fletcher winning the B class, while Damon Simons and Jeff Souza winning the C class. Stephen Eversley and Jay Spencer won the D class, while David Fox and Stephen McCallan took the checkered flag in the S class. I'm Earl Baston reporting for VSB Sports.
And now for the weather for Tuesday, June the 30th. It will be occasionally mostly cloudy with a couple of showers around. Winds will be southerly, light to moderate. The high will be near 86 and the low near 78. This weather forecast is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thank you for watching VSB News Online for Monday, June the 29th. I'm Charles Webb.